Ergonomyx marketing team. Today I just received my Smart Sit-and-Stand Desk, and so we're going to take this opportunity to run you through the assemblies process and show you how everything works. So the first step that we're going to take is we're going to make sure that we have everything that we should have received in the order. So going through it, first we have the crossbar here. Second, we should have 2 supporting legs, and we should have 2 sets of feet to attach to those legs. We should also have 2 side supports, which will support the desk itself. We should also have this small tray here, which holds this battery here. And we should also have a power cord to connect to the battery. And then lastly, we want to ensure that we have all of the necessary components to help put our desk together. So the tools and screws that should have come with your order are as follows. We should have these 2 Allen keys, a 4x4 and a 5x5, the 5x5 with a Phillips head driver at the end. And then we should have 4 of these screws, which will use the 4x4 Allen key. And we should have 8 of these, which will use the 5x5 Allen key. And then we should also have 8 of these, which will again use the 4x4 Allen key. Lastly, we should have 16 of these, which will use the Phillips head end. Okay, so now that we know that we have everything we need, we're going to match this center beam so that the connecting holes here match up with the holes on the desk itself. With some of the different models, this will come matched up already, but I have the larger model, the rectangular 60-inch, and it doesn't. So what I'm going to have to do is adjust these 2 screws here. So you can adjust these 2 screws with the smaller, the 4x4 Allen key. And so to do this, you just fully take each screw out, and then you'll be able to move the inside arm. In some cases, when you're trying to adjust this, it may be a little bit tight, and in that case, you'll have to loosen up these 2 bolts right here. Just a little bit should be able to give you the extra room you need to move it. Mine works okay without, so I'm not going to adjust it, but you may have to. And so when adjusting, you'll notice that there's these 3 elongated holes for the bolts to fit inside. For the large rectangular desk, in order to make these holes fit up with the holes in the desk, you're going to have to put one of the bolts on the outside of the second hole and one of the bolts on the inside of the third hole on either side. It doesn't matter which side, you get to pick, but that's what you'll have to do to make it fit. So there we go, I have mine all lined up. So now, in order to refasten it, take each bolt and insert them back into the pre-driven hole. In some cases, it may not line up exactly right with the inner slider, and in that case, you might either have to lift the exterior one up or push it a bit down just to make it so that the holes line up. Okay, so now that we have the crossbar itself fitted to the desktop, we're going to continue with the assembly of the frame. So the first step for this is to attach the side support plates to the crossbar. And when doing this, we're going to start with the crossbar pads up, because the desktop is going to be resting on these 3 pads and the rubber fittings here on the crossbars. In doing this step, we're going to be working with the screws with the shortest depth that fit into the 4x4 Allen key. these screws come in a group of 4. When putting each side on, I like to have something underneath the crossbar itself, because that way, when you have some force coming down on the top, these side bits of the baffles here push up if you don't. So it's nice to have these up there, and then everything will fit together nice and smoothly. Okay, now that we have these side supports on, we're going to have the crossbar flipped over with the pads facing down, because now we are going to attach the legs themselves. And so when we're doing this, we are again going to be using the smaller 4x4 Allen key, and the screws that we're going to be using are, of course, fitted to the 4x4 Allen key with the rounded bell-shaped top. So when putting these legs on, it's important to ensure that this plate here that connects the crossbar to the leg is facing inwards. So for each leg, we're going to line up the driver here with the driver socket in there. And it doesn't matter too much where it is, because you can rotate them in. So what's important is once it's in, you're going to rotate it so that the screw fastenings match up with the screw holes in the crossbar. And then we're going to do that again with the other leg. Again, ensuring that the inside of the crossbar gets the larger plate. Just lining that up and then twisting it so that it matches up with the screw holes, and then it's just a matter of fixing each one in. Okay, so now that we've successfully attached each leg, the last step for assembling the frame before we actually connect it to the desktop itself is to attach the feet. So this step is quite straightforward. It's simply setting it up so that the pads are facing away from the ground, lining them up with each 4 holes, and then we are going to fasten the feet by using the last set of Allen key screws that we have. It should be the deepest screw, and it should be the only one that fits the 5x5 Allen key. It should be the larger, blocky looking one. Okay, so we're now finished assembling the frame itself. The next stage will be actually connect the frame to the desktop. So you can do this either way. You could either flip the frame up now and then do everything from the underneath. I am going to put the frame on the ground and then actually fasten everything like that, and then flip the desk once everything is completed. So when doing either of these, I highly recommend grabbing someone else to help you, because this frame is weighted very funkily, and so sometimes when you're flipping it, it can catch you really off guard, and it could flip, maybe damage your floor or something. So I highly recommend having someone else there to give you a hand with this step. So now, as you can see here, I have my desk flipped upside down, unfastened. So this step is going to be taking the last screws we have here with the Phillips head bit and finding each hole all the way around. So there should be 16 total. 4 right here, and then there should be 4 on each side support as well. Another important thing to note while flipping everything over and putting it together is that you want to make sure that the motor here is facing the back of the desk. So on all desks you will have this concave side, right, which will be the front of the desk. You want to make sure that the motor is facing away from that. So the next step now will be to find each hole and give it a screw. Okay, so now that we have all of these screws in, we're almost there. The next step will be to connect all the electronics. But first, if you did it like I did and you connected everything with the desk facing down, we're now going to have to flip it back up. And again, I highly recommend you do this with a friend because it's a very heavy desk and it's weighted in a lot of unexpected ways, so it can flip very quickly. So with the desk now upright, we are going to connect all of the electronics. So the center of this will be this control box, which is 3 ports. This first one is the power port. And then the 2 on this side, the one on the left here, the Ethernet cord will connect to the controller, and the one on the right will connect to the motor. So we have included this tray to help keep everything tidy, and this tray fits right into this slot, which is on the inside of the desk, or the side facing the person sitting. And to get that in, all you have to do is simply push this little hook into the slot there, and it'll sit nicely. Some people find that having your control box in this spot gets in the way of your legs and stuff, so we've included holes on the control box here, and some extra screws as well. And if you have a drill, then all you have to do is simply find wherever you'd like on the desk and drill some new holes. Unfortunately, it might be a little bit hard with just the tools that we have provided, but if you have your own, then you're good to go for that. So, moving forward, I'm going to start by connecting all of the different wires to this control box. So the power cord here, and then the cord for the motor, and then the cord for the controller. And then I'm just going to place this in nicely. And there we go. You can set your cords up however you'd like, and then you're all set to use your new sit and stand desk.